Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's indeed an enormous honor to stand here today on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin peoples, to whom we say miigwech, for our ability and their generosity that across this country Indigenous peoples have allowed us settler culture people to share territory. We have not done it historically in ways that make us proud. It brings us here today. In the tradition and the language of the Indigenous peoples, whose great honor it is for me to stand here as the Member of Parliament for Saanich, Gulf Islands, and of course the Tsilhqot'in Nation. So in Tsilhqot'in, I raise my hands to you, chiefs of the Tsilhqot'in who are here today, and say, Haishka Siam. We hold you in honor and respect and are deeply honored by your presence in this chamber today. And in your own language, Hunat'a. It's a great honor and privilege to participate in being able to say that after all these years, more than 150 years of injustice towards 6 individual chiefs who stood on behalf of their nations against aggression in the way that national leaders do, they are now exonerated of the wrongful charges and the, of course, horrific murder of 6 Tsilhqot'in chiefs in that time of the 1864 Tsilhqot'in War. I appreciate that the Prime Minister referenced the most recent history and the landmark case of the Supreme Court of Canada in 2014. And I know that Chief Joe Alphonse fought so hard on that one. That was a long, long battle to have the land rights of the Tsilhqot'in recognized in the Supreme Court of Canada. The affront that caused that Supreme Court decision goes all the way back to 1983, 31 years before the Supreme Court decision, the unanimous decision written by former Chief Justice Beverly McLaughlin. But the affront to territory, to land rights, was in granting logging permits to Carrier Lumber with no consideration that this was territory on which Carrier Lumber and the British Columbia government had no right to log. 31 years of patience, finally resulting in a unanimous Supreme Court of Canada verdict that said so clearly, quote, title is title is title, unquote. And we are now in a period of trying to right the wrongs. Certainly the 1864 Tsilhqot'in War is one that was replete with wrongs. The actions of the chiefs at the time were prompted by not just the presence of a road crew, but the actions of that road crew in abuse and sexual violence against Indigenous young women of the Tsilhqot'in Nation, of their abuse of their own workers when they had Indigenous workers on their work crew. They were poorly treated and not paid. And ultimately, as is reported in history, the threat that when 4 bags of flour were stolen, the retaliation from the road crew would be to distribute smallpox-infected blankets to cause biological warfare against the Tsilhqot'in Nation. We know now, as others have said, how exactly wrong that period in our history was, how long it is in coming the full legal exoneration of the Tsilhqot'in leadership of that period, and of course an apology from the Government of Canada, for which I thank the Prime Minister from the bottom of my heart. This is long overdue, but that doesn't take away from the fact that this is an important day. And it is also, I think, important that all parties agreed to the unusual ability of us to have on the floor of our chamber the current Tsilhqot'in leadership. This is very important. But I'll turn back to the words of Chief Tsilhqot'in of saying, quote, we meant war, not murder. And we can say back to him now through the veils of history and time, perhaps reaching him somewhere, that in this settler culture Canada, in this, I hope, post-colonial era, when you say we meant war, not murder, we say now we mean reconciliation. We mean peace. We mean respect. We mean, at long last, the nation-to-nation relationship based on mutual respect and stewardship of our land with the leadership of Indigenous peoples. Again, I say, Haishka Siam, thank you, miigwech, Hunat'a. Thank you.